Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 44 of the Gaming Lounge podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Sebastian, and I'm joined by Dory. How's everything going, Dory?
Everything's going good. Getting back into exercise, so that's good. And excited to talk about some stuff in gaming. We're gonna talk about Expedition 33. No, we're never gonna shut up about this game. I'm especially not going to, especially with the previews that we're gonna talk about. And we're also gonna talk about a little underground indie skateboarder named Tony Hawk, and a game that he possibly has coming out. Maybe, who knows? Plus, Seb played with this really cool person. He played Split Fiction with somebody really cool. I can't say who, but maybe you can take a guess. And him and that cool person who may or may not be on the podcast enjoyed it. So we're going to talk about that plus a couple other things. So pretty decent week. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about all that stuff and more.
All right, so let's start with our first topic, which is about Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4, or 3 and 4, which is now officially happening, as we talked about last week. So I'm going off GameSpot. Their article says Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 will launch on July 11th, and pre-orders for the Deluxe and Collector's Edition will unlock early access, allowing fans to jump in 3 days earlier, starting on July 8th. And everyone who pre-orders Pro Skater 3 and 4 will receive access to a demo set to go live in June that allows players to try out the Foundry levels from the third game. As it says, as you'll expect, there will be a standard deluxe and collector's editions of Tony Hawk's Pro Skaters 3 and 4 when it launches. Now available to pre-order, the standard edition is priced at $50, and the digital deluxe edition is $70, and the collector's edition is $130, which will have cool digital content such as a full-size skateboard deck from Birdhouse. All right, so we also saw that it's coming to everything, besides even including the Switch as well. So PC, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series, Xbox One, and the Switch. It's also coming to Game Pass day one. It says Microsoft owns Activision, and the Pro Skater series is part of its buyout of Activision Blizzard. And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 will be available at launch on Game Pass. You will need to subscribe to Game Pass Ultimate or PC Game Pass to play at launch. As alongside the Hawkman himself, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 will feature many of the original skaters from two of those two games, several new faces, and a few interesting additions from id Software's Doom series of first-person shooters. Basically, you play as Doom Guy, which is awesome.
I love that. I just love, like, somebody said online, like, Tony Hawk performing a really cool trick. Hey, Doom Guy, look at this. Doom Guy, real cool. Tony looks good. This just makes me so excited. Anyway, go ahead.
Although it does not have Bam Margera, which people were pointing out that he was missing, and that was, he was a part of the 3 and 4. He's a big part of the Tony Hawk Pro Skater, and he looks like he's been cut from the roster. He's had a long history of issues. And then it says, the issues being like substance abuse, health issues,
right,
things like that.
He's doing, actually, small side note, he's doing better, which is good to see. He's actually in this pro wrestlers program called DDP, or Diamond Dallas Page. Has his own kind of yoga program. He did the same for Scott Hall, who sadly passed away a couple of years ago. And yeah, Bam looks a lot better than he has in years. So kind of overlap with wrestling. So that's how I know about that. But yeah, largely substance abuse issues.
Yeah, he was never the same after his friend died in the car accident. So Tony Hawk Skaters also, Tony Hawk Pro Skater games typically have guest characters as well. Like we had like Darth Maul, Wolverine. But in this case, license issues, I'm sure, or not. It's not going to be the case. If there's even Spider-Man, there was even Spider-Man in one of them. Right. But it seems like the replacement is going to be the Doom Guy, which is awesome. I mean, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Microsoft owns it. I'm not going to go through the list of all the skaters because I don't really follow skating like that. I don't think you do either, I would assume. So we'll just move on to that. It says the interesting thing about these two Pro Skater games is that they represent two very different eras for the franchise. 3 was the final game for several years, to use the traditional 2-minute time limit for each stage, while 4 scrapped the timer and gave players the option to explore each stage at their own leisure during career mode. For Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, Iron Galaxy is unifying the experience by keeping the time limit structure intact for both games. It has been
People are
suggested.
not happy.
Yes, I saw that. We'll talk about that. It has been suggested that certain objectives have been reworked for 4 to accommodate this change. Regardless, you'll still be able to play through these games at a leisurely pace through free skate mode, and there will be a speed run and single session modes to try out. It also says all the skate parks you can go to, the airport, Alcatraz, Canada, College, Foundry, Rio, San Francisco, Tokyo, Water Park. Those are all from the mix of 3 and 4. And then finally, they're keeping the soundtrack mostly the same, but obviously it can't be exactly the same. It's a long time ago, license issues. But there's a mix of old songs and new songs. So there's enough nostalgia for us old people to appreciate, but also a mix of new stuff as well. So overall, it sounds like a good package if you're interested in these kind of games. I am personally interested in Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I grew up with these games. 2 and 3 are the ones I remember the most. I don't remember playing 4. I probably have, but I think I just specifically remember playing 3 and 4. And 1 and 2, of course, and then the underground games. I think like 4 was the one I missed, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
But either way, I think the main thing I get out of this is it's a cool, but like the career mode is kind of a bummer. I think that's the big. A lot of people are upset about it.
Yep.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah. I'm definitely negative about it. I mean, I don't have I'm not gonna say I have a hot take, right? I'm not gonna sit here and pretend, oh, I remember viscerally Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4 and 3. I can't even remember which fucking one I played when I was a kid. I know I played Underground 1, and I know I played some of the Tony Hawk games when I was a kid on the PlayStation and PlayStation 2, but I couldn't tell you any more than that. So I'm not gonna act like I'm super burdened by this news or whatever, but I do think it's a bummer. I have seen some speculation online. It's just speculation, but that it has to do with like paying voice actors and music rights and like just making it repeat over and over again is something apparently a concern or an issue. Allegedly, we don't know. So that could have some traction to it. We don't know. But yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal to me personally. I don't mind the 2-minute limit, although I think you should be able to make it longer, which I can't remember if you could or not in 1 or 2. But I don't remember it bothering me then, so I don't think it'll bother me now unless the areas are so much bigger. Then obviously I'll be like, well, that doesn't make any sense, right? But as long as everything's fairly sized, it's not a huge deal. But I completely understand people being upset. It's not true to the original. It was a good evolution of the formula. Don't bring it back if you're not going to actually keep it at least somewhat fair. It doesn't have to be obviously it shouldn't be completely the same as the original because you want the controls to be better and you want to update the graphics and blah blah blah. But yeah, there is nothing wrong with free skate. Free skate's so cool. You just get to go around the level, see little things that you miss, little details. You just get to skate to your heart's content, and it's awesome. And maybe put on your favorite jams from whatever soundtrack. So, yeah, I think it's a bummer, but is it going to stop me from playing it on Game Pass? No way. I'm probably there day one. I had a great time with Tony Hawk 1 and 2. So I'm sure I'll have a great time here too, and maybe they'll even improve it from 1 and 2. I don't remember any of my issues besides a repetitive soundtrack that didn't have enough, so hopefully they spice it up a little bit more this time, add more tracks. But there was still a lot of good music on that soundtrack. Other than that, I don't really remember any outstanding issues I had with the game. I just thought it was a really solid, remake of an excellent game that we all loved, that many of us loved as kids. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I hope I'm there day one for Game Pass. I probably won't buy it, but I'll certainly get on Game Pass.
All right, I think that's everything about this topic. I think we hit on everything. I'm interested in it. I might get it day one. July is a great time for it. I feel like it's a great summer game.
So it's a great summer game.
And it's only $50, which is a good price, I think, for this. I'm probably day one, but we'll see. All right, Let's move on to our next topic, which is another Game Pass game, Clair Obscur Expedition 33. We got the final previews. This is Dory's next game she'll never shut up about.
Yep, absolutely.
After Hades, and what did you think of the previews from IGN? Which one did you mainly watch? Was it IGN?
I watched both. First off, I don't know what they're paying this guy who gave the preview for it on I believe his name is Ben. No, Will. I'm sorry, Will Borger. I was thinking of the letter B because I knew there was a B in there somewhere. Will Borger. This dude needs to be paid more first and foremost. This is a public call out. Will, you're doing amazing writing. This is even everyone in the comments. You know how comments in YouTube are always like fuck IGN, and like sometimes they're right, but sometimes they're not right. Everyone in the comments is like, give this guy a raise. His writing is incredible. His voice is incredible. His passion for the game that he's talking about just seeps through. This is the second preview I've seen of his. It also feels like Alan Wake is talking to me. He's kind of got that voice and that cadence where I feel like I'm in Alan Wake and Alan Wake's talking to me. Anyway, that's all besides the point. The Will Borger one is very good. He speaks from some personal experience. They kind of talks about the themes of it. And then also there is the Xbox podcast that IGN does. I don't remember exactly what it's called. I don't really watch it. But they had a clip. I think it's called Unleashed or Unlocked, or that might be the PlayStation one. But it's really good. The two people who previewed it, and not the host, but the other two people, just rave about the game for about, I don't know, 15 minutes. It's just like a whole section of their podcast, and they're just like, the combat's incredible. The stuff that they add to it is incredible. The Frenchness is incredible. I want to go eat a baguette after I play this game. Just stuff like that. It looks incredible. The previews have been very impressive, and this is, I think it's really important. The same thing that IGN folks said that I will also back. It is unheard of for previews to be this positive. For a preview to be this positive. Previews are usually like, oh yeah, this looks promising. Like, you see it all the time. IGN's like, well, this seems like a promising game, 7 out of 10. This seems like a promising game, 7 out of 10. Yeah, this game could use some work, 6 or 5 or whatever. But this is like full scale, like praise. Like, and it's not like it's perfect, right? I'm not necessarily saying that. But for a first time for a studio, especially, it looks incredible. It plays incredible. It's got the kind of dynamic menus of Persona. It's got the kind of, timing with your parries, with your dodges, with your attacks. You can do these things where you can kind of, I don't completely understand it, but basically you can absorb certain magical essences and use those essences for attacks, and then you lose them. And like when you do future attacks, you can gain more essence for the process as well. So it's just really cool. Like you basically, like an example, you use an ice attack and you gain like a flame element or something. You can then use another ice attack to like melt that flame. I don't completely understand it, so don't take me for my word at this. I'm just paraphrasing what other people have said. It's just really exciting. I'll quote a couple things. Let's see. Every character has a melee and ranged attack. This is interesting. Some people don't like this, but the ranged attacks that you do when you have a gun has to be aimed manually. I know one of the reviewers I was looking at said that it felt kind of disconnected from everything else. That doesn't personally bother me, but I completely understand. Melee attacks build AP. This is pretty classic, right? Ranged attacks spend it. You also need AP for skills, unique attacks that each character has in their arsenal. So, for example, one character has like different combat forms that you can do to attack in different ways. Somebody is your classic spellcaster. Someone is your classic, kind of like all-arounder, right? And then, the turns are all put on the left side. Your health and AP and all that stuff is at the bottom. You can, like I said, dodge, parry, or jump to avoid an attack. And sometimes it's easier to just take damage, but obviously if you dodge it completely with the right timing, you can completely avoid it. If you parry, parrying is a tighter timing than dodging, of course, but if you do it, you get a counterattack. And what's really cool is if the whole party is getting attacked and you do a perfect parry with all three. They do like a team combo attack, kind of like in Kingdom Hearts 3, where like you get the whole squad together and they do like combo attacks and shit. And it just looks so badass from the preview that Will was showing off. So like Will talks about he ran into a very powerful enemy. One hit could have killed him, right? But as long as he parries him, he wins. So it took him a couple tries, but once he figured it out that he could parry a first hit and dodge the second, he managed to take out somebody that maybe he shouldn't have been able to yet. So there's strategy here, right? And there's a lot of it. Obviously, it's an RPG, right? There's some back end stuff. It's called Pictos and Luminas. You can equip 3 Pictos to any character, which provides buff. I'm reading right from the preview. Like shooting this enemy might light them on fire, or attacks do more damage, or so on and so forth. It gives also stat upgrades. And then eventually you can kind of level up those Pictos. So like in previous RPG games, eventually they'll be so leveled up that everyone will get the benefit from the individual Picto, not just the one character that has it, right? It's kind of like experience share in later Pokemon games. And then there's other stuff too about abilities and stuff like that. There's just a ton of choices, a ton of options, a ton of strategies that you can do. The whole story here, which we talked about, so I'll just very briefly, is that basically this game is trying to kill me. This game that I'm so passionate about, literally, I would die if I was in its world, which was a funny realization last time we talked about it. But it's called Expedition 33 because all the people there are actually 33, and they're all going to die in a year. And basically, they have to stop this figure from killing everybody, basically. I mean, it's very morbid. It's a very dark RPG. The creators did say that there's definitely going to be some laughs and some funny moments, some light within the darkness kind of stuff. But at the same time, it's a very dark game. Basically, you start the game in a lot of death, and a lot of stuff has already gone wrong. And that's not really a spoiler. That's already in the previews and trailers and stuff like that, but I won't say more than that. There's some. It's a pretty linear, but there are a lot of hidden areas. Basically everyone who's done the preview has said, I wanted to play more. I played like 3 to 4 hours. I wanted to go back. I wanted to do more. One of the people on the IGN Xbox podcast was like, I knew it was the wrong thing to do, but I stayed up way too late playing this game. I guess she helps make the IGN guides or something. So she was looking in every corner and stuff. I'm just like, I was already really excited for this game. I got into turn-based RPGs like a couple of years ago, largely thanks to Yakuza, Like a Dragon, but also other indie titles and stuff like that. And I'm just so excited for this. And there's Sandfall, I believe the title of the development studio has a lot of people working on it with obviously a lot of passion. As I keep pointing out, a lot of their inspirations are put on the website, and a lot of those are just amazing games to take inspiration from. Obviously, they're taking inspiration from Persona, but they're also taking inspiration from turn-based RPGs that have, the action command. I don't know what you would call it, but like the action commands of like you got to time, certain button prompts. So it's not like you just stand there and be like, well, this is my turn, I'm just gonna get hit. And there's nothing wrong inherently with that, but I do prefer it when games are like, if you time this just right. I was very critical of the 1,000-Year Door, but that was definitely one of the better parts of it, is like you had to time up the block or you had to time up the attack. I'm very animated for this because this is my new Hades. Like, this is like, I'm very excited about this game. I think if you just look at the voice acting pedigree that they have here, the graphics that they have here, the influences that they've taken from, and the previews. I mean, just watch the previews. These are professional video game reviewers, agree with them or not, that they play video games for a living, basically, and they play it like every day, and they're like, this is incredible. Like, I've never seen anything like this, especially from a first-time game. There's every chance it's not going to be perfect. I know one of the reviewers was talking about some floatiness, some movement issues when you're in the above world and stuff like that. Some, a little bit of slippery or floatiness. I think they can hash that out pretty easily through a fix, a patch. And then also some like lighting issues because there are certain areas in the game that are just like, lots of lighting is going on at once. So obviously they're a first time developer here, so it's going to take some time. But yeah, Seb, I don't know if you watched any of the previews, but that's my verbal vomit about how excited I am about this game. It's going to be the new thing I'm obsessed with, probably.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this game. I think it's gonna be one of the best games of the year. It should be in my top 10 games at the end of the year. The thing that excites me the most is the gameplay. I love the gameplay as a mix between Persona and Final Fantasy X. I get a lot of Final Fantasy X vibes from this game, like the way the UI is, the way the turn based combat flows, the system, like just the UI, but the basically the turns on the left side and things like that. It looks really great. The visuals obviously stand out to me. They look awesome. I always said that this game looks very pretty. It looks like a very unique game because it's like I've never seen a turn-based game with a cinematic Western RPG vibe design ever. This style of game is typically is JRPG, anime styled, or like even if it's like Final Fantasy, it's still like it's still Japanese and like Eastern styled. Like this is like pure European Western art style with like a Persona of Final Fantasy combat system, which is awesome. And it looks like an awesome game. I think it's gonna be one of the best games of the year. On day one, it comes out what next month, so it's huge. It's a day one game for me. I mean, everything I'm seeing about this game, all the previews have been super positive. I mean, yeah, it should be in the 90s. I'm hoping, right? At least the 80s.
I think so. I think so. At least in the 80s, probably more closer to be in the 90s. Yeah, I think there's real opportunity with this game, and I think all you have to do to know that is to look at these preview clips of people who play video games every day and are like, this blew me away. And like for something to blow you away when you only have like 3 or 4 hours and it's just a preview build, I just think that's an incredible accomplishment. I was grabbed from the first trailer. I was like, wow, this looks really cool. This looks really dynamic. Like Seb said, the combat looks phenomenal. But I mean, these previews have blown up my hype even more. We're reaching like Hades levels of hype for me in terms of like how excited I am. So yeah, I've talked enough. This is Clair Obscur Expedition 33, and it just looks incredible, and I'm very excited to play it next month. I hope it goes well, but I really struggle to see how it would at this point.
Yeah, so let's move on to another Game Pass game, which would be Gears of War Collection that we've all been waiting for forever. So and then only that, it is coming to PlayStation, which is huge, obviously, because Gears of War is one of the marquee big three of Xbox and Microsoft. I'm on Tweaktown just because there was another rumor coming out that came out about this. It says the Gears of War rumors are swirling, and the latest rumors comes from Middle Age Gaming, who claims to have source from the Coalition, who is the developer of the Gears of War games. Middle Age Gaming confirms previous rumors that a Gears of War collection is in the works, and adds that an announcement is expected in June this year. So, Summer Game Fest, I'm assuming, at the Xbox show. The above video states that the upcoming collection will consist of the first 3 Gears of War games, 1, 2, and 3. This collection is going to be arriving on Xbox, PC, and the previously rumored PlayStation, which would mark the first time Xbox has brought over Gears of War to the competing platform. More specifically, Middle Age Gaming states the Gears of War collection will be PS5 Pro enhanced, which leads us to believe it will be a full remaster of the first 3 titles, as Sony requires a certain level of graphical performance improvements for the enhanced label to be given. Those requirements are 4K upscaling via PlayStation Spectral Resolution (PSSR), 60 frames per second performance, advanced ray tracing features, etc. So why is Microsoft deciding to release remasters of the first 3 Gears of War games? According to Middle Age Gaming, the purpose is quite simple. The first Gears of War game is almost 20 years old. Gamers who play the older games might want to jump back in and replay them with a fresh coat of paint, and many younger gamers haven't been exposed to the franchise. The timing is in conjunction with the release of the new Gears of War game, E-Day, Microsoft is likely hoping old fans of the franchise will pick up the Coalition, replay the titles, and get them back into the Gears of War mood as E-Day is about to release. The same principle applies to gamers who have never played a Gears of War game. Middle Age Gaming says he is still hearing E-Day is going to be released in 2025, which would be presumably after the release of the collection, which is slated for release in mid-August. Other Gears of War collection rumors indicated the titles without multiplayer PvP, but will come with co-op functionality. Additionally, sources for these rumors claim the collection has already been loaded into the PlayStation storefront on the back end. It should be noted that all of the aforementioned information is just rumors at the moment and should be taken with a healthy amount of skepticism, as Microsoft hasn't confirmed it's working on a Gears of War collection, or if Gears of War is even coming over to PlayStation. Obviously, take this with a big grain of salt. This all could be a bunch of bullshit, but I think it is true. If I don't know, but the only thing I'm like hesitant on with is more than anything is the just like definitive dates like August and June being revealed and all that. I mean, June makes sense to me. Xbox show, Summer Game Fest, but I do think it's a smart idea to do. First of all, Gears of War 2, Gears 2 and 3 are not on PC at all. Like they're only on Xbox. Like you have to literally have PC Game or Xbox Game Pass or Xbox 360 or Xbox One or Series X to play these games. You cannot play this on PC. So just having the collection on Steam is phenomenal because we only have Gears 5 on Steam and that's it. And in the Gears the other one they made the Tactics one. Forget the name of it for some reason.
Yeah, I think it was literally Gear Tactics, but I don't remember.
Yeah. So we have not had Gears 1. They already remade or not remade. Like it's like a remaster of the first game, but they never released it on Steam. They only put it on PC Game Pass. I beat it on PC Game Pass too. Obviously, Gears of War is my favorite Microsoft franchise. It's always been my favorite. I fell in love with that series the very first game on Xbox 360. It's still my favorite Xbox 360 game. I have so many memories playing that game with my friends in co-op. It is, but Gears 2 and 3 are even better, I think, than the first game. But the first game is just the most nostalgic for me. It's really exciting. I am 100% day one for this collection. I love Gears of War. I have not played 2 and 3 in a long time, and I'm excited to play through all of them again. And I hope it's popular enough where Gears 4 possibly comes to Steam as well, because it's still not on Steam either. Gears 5 was a little disappointing for me. It still was a good game.
Yeah.
I thought it was a good game. I don't think it was phenomenal. I just didn't like the story choices they made with it. I didn't like the open world sections. I thought that was just tacked on personally, because they felt like they had to mix up the formula. I'm okay with the formula. I am like I said, I don't mind formulaic games if they're spread out. If it's an annual release, sure. But if it's like every 4 years, like who cares?
That's how I feel about Pokemon games, honestly. Like I feel like the formula was good and they didn't need to change it, but I know a lot of people felt otherwise, but yeah.
Yeah, I have no issues with the Pokemon formula either. And it's like
it's a good formula. If it ain't broke, don't fix. Just do what fucking Yakuza did. Just do side games where you do a different format. I agree with you on Gears 5. Sorry, I want to get back to Gears 5. I played Gears 4 and 5 for the first time 2 years ago, I want to say. And I liked 4. I thought 4 was great. And then 5 made a lot of frustrating decisions. I agree with you. It was a good game, but made a lot of frustrating decisions. Story-wise, yes. But also, I did not like the open world, open zone bullshit that was clearly pushed into the series for no good reason. It
was tacked on. It didn't add anything to the game at all, I felt. It dragged the game for me. I like Kate as the main character, but she's just not Marcus Phoenix. I think Marcus Phoenix is just the best character in the series. Like besides, like, you know, I think the main cast are the best. It kind of has that like Star Wars issue where it's like I'd rather just see Han Solo, Princess Leia, and Luke Skywalker than the new cast. They just don't hit. But and they could if the writing was better, but I think the writing for the new characters were just not as good as Dom and Marcus Phoenix and Coltrane and all them. So Gears 5, 4, and 5 had the same issue. I mean, for the story wise, but the gameplay was fun, and that's all that matters to me. Really, is the gameplay. If it's fun, like and the Gears franchise, as much as other games have done core shooter, has done shooters, right? As like cover shooters, I mean, Gears still feels like a different genre, like because how many games have like a chainsaw mechanic? You can run at people with a chainsaw and a shotgun and things like that, right? So
Right.
I'm excited for this. What do you?
Yeah.
How are you feeling about this?
I played Gears 1 when it first came out. I had an Xbox. Xbox was one of the first like I think consoles of that generation I had, maybe or maybe not. But anyway, I definitely played Gears 1. I remember that because I remember the train level. And I remember the chainsaws, and I just had a blast. I weirdly never followed up. I don't think I played any of the other Gears game after that. So I didn't play 2 and I didn't play 3. I was locked in on Halo. I played Halo 1, 2, and 3, but everyone was locked in on Halo, right? But yeah. So I remember really enjoying 1. Actually, if you could believe it, I know I talk about Kim and how she's kind of a casual gamer. She loved Gears of War when she was younger, and she played with her brother. And they did co-op and stuff like that, which I think is very cute. So she's like, if that actually comes to PS5, like we should play it together. And I was like, that would be awesome. So I'm excited. I will be saying my Hail Marys, and I will be drinking some holy water before I play it on PS5, because that's some dirty shit right there to me. It just feels weird. It feels like playing a game on something that you're not supposed to do. Like it feels like a Code Shark or whatever they were called back in the day, where you would like mangle the game or whatever, so you could do whatever you wanted with it. It just feels weird to me.
Game Shark.
Game Shark, yes. But I never used one, so clearly. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm excited that it if this happens, that it is coming to more consoles. I always think more accessibility is a good thing. I would like more people to be able to experience these games. I'm sure they're going to be a little rough going back, but I remember them being super fun at the time, so they're probably still pretty fun, even 20 years later, which, oh my God. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it if it happens. Obviously, these are rumors and speculation, so we can't guarantee it does happen. But if it does, oh boy, that is going to be a lot of fun online conversations about how Xbox is dead and Microsoft doesn't care about their consumers, and Sony is dominating, and blah blah blah. Lots of other console war bullshit.
Yeah. What else? So, in other words, what else is new?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited for this. This is day one for me. Like, I hope this is true. I feel like I lean on it being more true than being false. Like, it definitely could be false, but it just feels right. I'm not really sure on E-Day coming out this year though. I don't buy that personally. I feel like that's the 2026 game. I don't see why Microsoft needs to put every single game this year, like into this year. Like, you have plenty of games this year. Spread it out. You have next year as well. You got Fable next year. You can add another game there. E-Day is a huge game. You don't have to put everything in 2025. I just don't feel like you need to. But hey, if they put it, I'm not Microsoft, so who cares? I'll buy it on Steam. So, moving on to some Last of Us news. So we got two. I'm mixing the two topics together. The Last of Us Part 3 conversation, and then the Season 2 trailer of the HBO series. So let's start with Last of Us Part 3. I'm on ScreenRant.com. It says, this could be it. Neil Druckmann apparently confirms there's not going to be a Last of Us Part 3. Despite the ongoing success, The Last of Us is as a franchise with 2 successful games and a popular TV adaptation, it's apparently been confirmed that The Last of Us Part 3 won't be happening. When it was originally released in 2020, The Last of Us Part 2 launched to general success, but also a significant amount of controversy, as the direction of the game's narrative sparked backlash from some fans of the first game. In a new interview with Variety, The Last of Us writer Neil Druckmann has apparently confirmed that there may not be another sequel, saying, quote, "Don't bet on there being more Last of Us. This could be it." While not a total confirmation, Druckmann's statement indicates that a prospective The Last of Us Part 3 isn't likely, even after the launch of Naughty Dog's upcoming game, Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, which was announced at the 2024 Game Awards. The statement is potentially a worrying one for The Last of Us fans who might have been holding out hope for a full trilogy. Unfortunately, no further elaboration has been provided, as the Variety interview was mostly centered around the upcoming second season of the TV show. In the unlikely case that The Last of Us Part 3 does eventually happen, it will likely still be multiple years away from release, given that Intergalactic currently lacks a set release window and probably won't come out in 2025. Well, first of all, I don't totally agree with that last statement from the article. Naughty Dog's a huge studio. They can definitely work on The Last of Us and Intergalactic at the same time. I don't think one affects the other. I mean, yeah, they're not gonna release them close to each other. I'm sure they're gonna spread it out a little bit, but I can easily see them working on The Last of Us Part 3 at the same time. I don't see that affecting. I don't think they're all hands on deck on one game. They're that big of a studio. I think they're the biggest studio that Sony owns, like in terms of personnel.
Got to be up there.
I don't know.
They've been around the longest. Well, almost the longest. So it would make most sense.
And they make a lot of money as well.
Right.
I don't know if this is true. I feel like it just doesn't feel right. Like I feel like he's doing this on purpose. I feel like he's kind of. I don't want to say tricky. He's just like.
I got one thing to say. Me when I'm lying, I do not buy this for a motherfucking second.
Yeah.
Number one, there is no way. There is a way, but I do not believe that Druckmann is going to leave us off of on the bummer ending that is The Last of Us Part 2. I mean, that is dying for a sequel, narratively speaking, unless you really just, fuck happiness, I guess. But and maybe so. I mean, it's never supposed to be a happy story. I'm not saying I need a sequel. Especially because I'm not super happy with Druckmann these days, but that's another topic. But yeah, I don't believe him. I absolutely do not believe him. Also, didn't he literally say during the documentary that the third game was going to happen? I could have sworn that was a thing.
He did say that.
He basically, yeah. So he's contradicting himself. Or things have changed. Of course, people can change, things can change, whatever. But I just don't buy this. I don't believe this at all. You can call it cope or whatever, but I just don't believe Druckmann at all about this.
I mean, you could end with Part 2, obviously, and it did have a final note, basically.
Right.
Like it wrapped everything up. You could, but I could easily see a Part 3. Like it wrapped everything up, but you could easily create a story, a redemption story for Ellie. Right, because Part 2 ended on such a horrible note for Ellie. Like she was left. I mean, I could say this at this point. It's 5 years old. Right. She's left with nothing at the end. Right. She has nothing left because she went down that path of revenge, and she lost the love of her life and a child. And she doesn't have Ellie. I mean, she doesn't have Joel, and she doesn't have Tommy. So Dina. she's just Dina and the baby.
Yeah.
So she has nothing left, and because she went on this path of revenge, that Joel did himself. I mean, he did it to himself. To be fair, he massacred the entire Fireflies. Like, it's not like See, my thing is, I love Joel. He's a great character. Like, I love him as a main character. I was sad when he died, but he's not a good person, and he's never supposed to be a good person. That was the whole point of the story. Right. Like, he's a great character. Like he
literally tortures someone in The Last of Us, and like so many fans just pass over that. I'm like, dude, he literally Geneva Convention, like right there, like so many violations. Like he literally tortured someone. Yeah, and like even after they gave him the information, remember he fucking kills them anyway, right? Because he doesn't want to risk them coming after Ellie, which I understand that's what makes him a good character. I understand where he's coming from, but that's batshit, you know. So.
And not that the Fireflies were innocent either. I never bought that. Of course. I never bought that Ellie being sacrificed was going to create some magic cure. I think the world was past the point of no return. I don't see. I never bought that personally. But the community, there's a lot of communities that form together and they were peaceful and they live happily. Obviously, it's not the same, but you get what I'm saying. It's like it's a different world now. I don't think Ellie sacrificing herself and getting killed for a cure wasn't. I don't think it was going to lead to anything. So I think Joel stopping it did the right thing. I just don't think how he did it, like massacring all of the people, was the right thing. But that's the anyway. My point is that people say like people make it like Joel was like didn't deserve it, and like how dare the writers do this? Like he did it to himself. Now I do agree with some of the story issues. I did have story issues with the game, not so much like the Abby stuff. Is more like the pacing. I always had issues with the pacing. I feel like I never liked some of the middle chapters with the dad, Abby's dad. I was like, it just dragged it for me. I didn't like how one character gets shot and then that jumps to a whole different character and set of characters, and we don't get a lot of time with them really. And I found half of them to be obnoxious. I just didn't care for them that much. So there was issues I had with the story. I would have the ending I was very mixed on. Like I know people really love it. I know people really hate it. I was always kind of like in the middle of it. I was always like, I don't know. She just did too much. Like to Abby, the whole Abby section. I don't know. It's just kind of like she was totally justified in it, and I get the whole thing ties together. Like both of them go on a path for revenge, and it both backfires on both of them basically, and they both have to live with it. But I don't know. I just feel like Ellie deserved more than that, basically. Like I love that she learned her lesson. I love that I do like that she. It never affected me that she didn't want to kill Abby. Like at the end, like she finally decided to let it go. But I would have liked that to have been a little more developed, I suppose. I mean, I'm going off the top of my head, but I would have liked something like that happened on her way to California. I think it was California. To like make her have second thoughts, because it kind of just feels like midway while she's strangling her, like or drowning her. She's like, I'm gonna stop doing what I'm doing now. You know what I mean? So maybe there was something and that I'm just not remembering well, because it's been a long time since I played this game.
Right.
But you get what I'm saying? Like
I get it.
But either way,
I think Ellie deserves. I want Ellie to have a better ending too. That's very selfish of me, and doesn't mean it's going to happen. But I do think that she should have a better ending, and I do think redemption is such a hard thing. It's such a hard thing in real life, and it's such a hard thing in writing. And I think there are really good examples out there. I think the way that they handled it with Catra and Shiro was really good. With Zuko and Avatar is obviously like the prime example of how to do redemption for really horrible things in a show. And there's other examples too, of course. But those are the two that most pop off my head.
Yeah, but at the same time, I do understand that like not everybody deserves redemption.
No, of course not.
If you do something really bad, like she killed a lot of people. She killed a pregnant. She killed a pregnant woman too. Like she did.
Yeah.
They didn't deserve that.
Although it's very funny to to put into contrast her and Nathan Drake, who has also killed a lot of people.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have any PTSD over it. He's just like chilling with his wife and his kid, and he's like, everything's good.
That's so true.
Like what?
Yeah.
And they're both Naughty Dog games, so like y'all can't even come at me for that. It's the same publisher. But at the same time, it's obviously very different tones. And you can argue that a lot of the people Ellie and Nathan kill are bad people. So I don't know. I completely agree though. Some characters you can't redeem and shouldn't try to. And that is obviously another problem with the trope, is that not all tropes are bad, and just being a trope doesn't mean it's bad, whatever, blah blah blah. But not all characters can get it. I think it'd be very interesting to have a game of Ellie trying to get that redemption and realizing it's out of reach, and just learning self-acceptance, self-kindness. I don't know, something. I know that sounds corny as shit, but like that's I don't know where else you go for any kind of marginal happy question mark ending. Not that it has to be, just because a game has a happy ending doesn't mean it has to be black and white. Doesn't mean it has to be all rainbow farts and unicorns and flowers everywhere, right? It can still be kind of bleak or ambivalent, but kind of happy, bittersweet, right? It could just be a bittersweet ending, which is probably the best we're going to get. But anyway, I don't believe Neil Druckmann. I think he's lying. I think we're definitely getting part 3, and he's just like saying that because because of this, right? We're talking about it. We wouldn't be talking about it if he didn't say it. So, obviously, maybe he's telling the truth, but I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, in my head, I want a third game where Ellie travels the country, meets people, gets a different perspective on things. Maybe starts or gets in a community, like gets old. Like I would love like how I guess how I would write it is like Ellie being like older at the end, and she's like telling a story, like kind of like how Walking Dead ends, the comic series and things like that. Like that'd be awesome. Like it's like I think Ellie deserves that kind of story. Like
Right. I agree.
I don't like ending part two with that. Anyway,
Yeah.
the article argues the part two ended fine, and like so you don't really need a part three. And I understand that. Like we don't have to have a part three. I like part two does have a definitive ending, but I just personally would prefer a more happier ending. It doesn't have to be a happy ending. It can be like a bittersweet ending, but it has to be some sweetness in it, not just bitter. Because all we got was bitter, pretty much. But at the same time, part three. I'm not sure. I really want to see Abby and Lev again. Like I don't know if that would really like. I guess you could do them, but like right, like or would that just be like tacked on? Because like what could you do? I guess I don't know. That just feels like a definitive ending to their story as well, right? Like what else can Abby do? Like her
I don't really see her and Lev as necessary characters in Ellie's story anymore.
Yeah,
I don't see why they would.
Yeah, Abby's whole thing was getting revenge on Joel, and now that that's over, like that's it. And then she wanted to revenge on Ellie for killing her friends. So like everything's wrapped up. I don't know what else there would be. Anyway, speaking of Last of Us Part 2, which by the way, before I transition to the show, the storyline didn't have to be phenomenal because the gameplay was so amazing. Like that game was the best third person shooter combat I've ever played. Like the flow of it, the movement, the dodging, the way you can go under vehicles, and the way the characters, all the NPCs interact with each other, and they say their name when they die. Like I was the gore, the animation looked incredible. The scenery looked amazing. Like that game was as AAA as you can get. Like that was high quality. Like that was my game of the year just because of that alone. Like in 2020, because I know people had story issues, but I always feel like people focus way too much on the story conversations and never enough about like how awesome that game is gameplay wise.
I mean, and it makes sense because it is a very story focused game, but at the same time, it's like I feel like the leaks really took everything over. I mean, it's just like after that happened, the well was just poisoned for the discourse on that one. And I personally feel like they made the right choice, but the right heartbreaking choice, but they still made the right choice. But yeah, I do want to talk about the trailer that just came out for The Last of Us season 2.
So we are right now. So we just today, March 8th, we got a trailer for the new season that comes out next month, I believe. And it really gave us 2 minutes of footage. So a lot of stuff we were familiar with from the game.
Right.
I've beat that game 2 times, PS4 and PS5, and I'm gonna play it again when it comes out next month on PC. So it'll be my 3rd time. It's a great timing, first of all, because I can play the game and I can compare it. Because it'll be fresh in my mind when I watch the show. But either way, we got to see a lot of cool stuff. So do you want to go through like beginning of do you want to go through like chronological of the trailer?
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's get into it.
All right, so it starts with Ellie talking to Joel, like it's between the first game and the second game. So Ellie's still younger. Although, right off the bat, she still looks the same to me. So I'm not buying older Ellie here. Just to be clear, like I don't.
They might also. I mean, do you think they're gonna just say the timeline is less, or do we already know that they are not doing that? That they are acting as if it's 5 years later or whatever?
It doesn't say.
I don't know. It doesn't say.
But I mean,
they could. I know they could for their own purposes. It doesn't really bother me, but I totally understand what you're saying, and I agree that she doesn't look that much older, or they don't. Yeah. Bella Ramsey doesn't look that much older.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like they could, just because it's a TV show, say, oh, this is just 1 year later or 2 years later or something more believable. But yeah, we'll see what they do.
Yeah. But so we got to see the town that they're staying in. We got to see like literally the shot where she is from behind of Ellie with the party and her dancing with Dina. Like that's exactly from the trailer. I like do you remember that? Do you remember the trailer for the game like at E3, and they made the whole audience like get up and walk into like a pre-built like stage or like area and with the lights and everything. Do you remember that?
I do not remember that. That sounds cool.
They did that the showcase when they first revealed the game. They did that, and then like they had the whole like E3 audience get up and like walk through it, and then like but on our end like the streaming, they had to make us wait like 10 minutes, and they had to do like a sideshow with like a panel while they were like
Yeah.
moving people. It wasn't really well done, but
Yeah.
that's how they revealed the game. And the very first thing we see is Ellie's back of her head, in front of at the party. They did the exact same shot here. They have the hanging scene in the woods. It has the exact same lighting and tone and color scheme, of course. It had zombies and the clickers in the snow. It had them traveling on a horse. It had the same costume designs as the characters that we face. It has the subway scene. It has the scene where Dina gets attacked in the... Was it the gas? It was like not a gas station. It was like a store. It could be a store somewhere, like in the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
It has a lot of things we're familiar with, but though there's some new things. I don't remember Tommy having a flamethrower.
He had a sniper rifle. I remember that because he fucking killed me 5 million times.
I do remember that. Yes.
Was that? Oh, that is Tommy. I thought it was Joel. It looked like Joel from far away, which is good because they're brothers. So hey.
Yeah. So what do you think of this trailer?
It's really good. First off, it's really well done. I loved. I think I was the highest when on it when we talked about it a couple of years ago, 3 years ago.
No,
I don't remember what it was.
I don't think it was 3 years ago.
Okay, it was a couple of years ago.
Hope not. Am I getting that old? It's flying by.
I think it's a couple of years ago. Yeah, it looks really good. The part where Ellie says, "You swore to me," it fucking punched me in the gut. Didn't know that The Last of Us could still make me like feel things at this point, just because I love the series so much. I don't think I cried at season 1, but I certainly got emotional during certain moments
I think
episodes.
The show. I won't go too detailed, but the show. I had some issues with the show, but I loved it overall. I thought it was a great show.
Right.
I think it's a great show for Last of Us fans, like non-gamers. Like non-gamers absolutely love this show.
Yeah.
I
thought.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, okay. I was gonna say I loved it personally. I even as a diehard Last of Us fan, I do agree that there were some problems with it. But I had a really good time overall. But yeah.
I really liked it. I don't think it was like a masterpiece because I did have issues with like some.
Right, I agree.
I thought it was like an 8.5 out of 10, which is a really great score. I had issues with the fact that like there was barely any zombies in the show after like the first couple episodes, and it was just like they had the easiest walk ever across the country. Like it was.
Right.
Just, I wish that they gave more time to Ellie and Joel to develop their relationship in the show. I feel like there was way too much focus on side characters I did not care about at times. There was like that new lady that they gave us who had an awesome death, to be clear. Like that was really cool. But it did feel like Hollywood writing. It did not feel like The Last of Us like quality writing. It felt like, okay, this is like a... It felt... I'll put it this way. It felt like the last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones sometimes, where it was like, we know we're mainstream. We know we have a huge audience. We have to have some like Marvel moments in it. Like we have to have like a Hollywood click. Let's have a little kid clicker like what that like runs. Like I mean, it didn't really need to be there. But at the same time, I thought the episode with the couple, Frank and I thought that episode was really well done. You can argue that like it took away from Joel and Ellie's development as together, but I thought that episode was so well done. That was one of the best episodes ever of television. I also wish there was more episodes. I feel like these problems would have been fixed if they had more episodes. Because I feel like everything. Yeah. I felt like everything was rushed. Like they were always like point A, point B. Every episode was like a new chapter of the game. I really wish they could have developed that more. Do you agree with that, or how do you feel?
Yeah, I agree. I think it would have been helped by more episodes. I think we're too used to a 10 episode season or 13 or whatever Netflix did, and people are too obsessed with that. There's no right number. There's no right number of episodes. I think Daredevil is doing 18 episodes per season, or is it 18 episodes?
That's a lot
cut into
too, though.
two?
That's a lot, though.
Yeah, cut into
So-
cut into 2 seasons, but yeah.
There's a middle ground because there's sometimes I feel like Disney Plus shows it's too short when they only have like 6 episodes. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You ever watch the Disney Plus shows? They're all like 6 episodes and like they have the same formula. But like season 5 is like some like flashback episode, like the build up to the finale of season 6,
Right.
episode 6. I think this show was like what 10 episodes. I want to say 9. I think it was 9, something like that. It should have been like 13. But like on the other hand, you don't want to be like 22, 25 because then you're like CW now, where you have like a monster of the week. We don't want to have that formula either. So I think 13 episodes would have been fine. Either way, I think it looks cool. I'm excited to see it. I'll watch it on HBO Max. We'll probably watch it every Sunday when it comes out.
Yeah, we'll probably talk about it too since we're big Last of Us fans.
Yeah, although we're not gonna get into the whole like, we're not gonna make it a topic every week. We'll probably just do like a beginning episode impression, and then we'll probably do like, I don't know, like a finale and talk about it overall. Then, you agree with that,
Right.
or?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think we could do beginning, middle, and end, but I don't know how many episodes they're doing, so that might not make any sense.
Yeah, so we'll plan it out when it actually comes out. But I'm excited to play Last of Us Part 2 on PC. It comes out in April, right before the show comes out, so I can compare it and it'll be fresh in my mind. And I'm going to beat Last of Us Part 1 on PC this month, just to be prepared for the show and be prepared for our discussions, so I can be more fresh in my mind. All right, so that's our last news topic of the night. So let's get into our final topic, which is Split Fiction, which is a brand new game, Joseph Fares and Hazelite, and highest rated game of the year so far.
Yep.
Let's start with the gameplay.
It's also got it set a new peak of 254,000 concurrent players on Steam, which is more than 3 times It Takes Two, and also highest ever for an EA premium release on Steam. A previous record was held by Battlefield 5 with 116K. That's from Okami on Twitter.
Is Hazelite considered an indie studio? Like,
I'd say they're more AA at this point.
yeah, but there's, I guess they're independent in the sense that like they publish their own game, right?
I thought they were connected to EA.
Oh yeah, they're EA. I'm sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
So they're not really indie. They're like AA.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said.
But this game is like AAA. Like,
Yes.
first, we'll start with the gameplay though, because that's the best part.
Sure.
I think. Gameplay is it's a co-op game, split screen mode. Dory and I were playing it together. Basically, it has the same It Takes Two formula. It's like we're both really relying on each other. Like like for example, Dory would had the sword and I had the whip, and she would have like a gravity kind of move, and she would go on the side of the wall, and I have to like throw the was it pylons
Yeah.
at the wall for you to use, and then or like I had to like pull the ladder for you and open each lock, that kind of stuff. Like we had to like work as a team at all times. Like this game does an amazing job having us work together. Like I feel like they did a great job syncing us together, which It Takes Two did as well. I think this game it's probably have one of the best gameplays of the year. Like I feel like the gameplay is the best of this game. Like it's the best part. Like it's really gonna be one of the best gameplay games of the year. Like it's gonna be really hard to top this game. It's actually that good on gameplay wise. Like it's legitimately one of the funnest games I ever played so far. I mean, we've only played it 4 or 5 hours, I want to say.
But yeah, like 5 hours basically.
Yeah, and this game is absolutely fun. Like this is a must play with a friend, a partner, anyone. The only downside to the gameplay is that you have to have somebody to play with, or you can't play it. Which I know it can be hard for people to find friends and family to play with. So it sucks that people can't play this game if they don't have that. But if you do, this is one of the best games of the year in gameplay. I feel like it's a blast to play. I think the boss levels are really awesome. They all felt different and unique. They weren't too challenging, but they weren't walks in the park either. You had to be on your toes. I think it's just casual enough to be appealing to everybody, but just difficult enough to appeal to gamers, where they don't feel like they're just like cruising through it. We did beat every boss on the first try so far.
Yeah,
But like it's not like we never died or anything like that. Like
definitely lots of deaths.
we,
Lots of deaths.
a lot of deaths, but at the same time, but it would never deaths at the same time. So
Yes.
even if you did die, all you do is spam the Y button and you come right back in. And the checkpoint system is so forgiving, which is really needed for this game, because this game does have some gotcha moments. Like you just be jumping on a platform and all of a sudden like it blows up or a bus hits it or like it crashes and you die. Some of the platforming at times you misjudge it or you misjudge your prompt. Sometimes it doesn't register here and there. So you'll die just from that alone. There is some criticism platforming. It can be a little janky sometimes, like when you jump on a platform. Like I could have sworn I jumped on it correctly, and for whatever reason it didn't register. The hitboxing of the platforming can be a little off, but not a major issue. There's some nitpick on that one, but the gameplay is really really fun. We had a blast playing it. It's one of those games where like those 5 hours fly by. Like there's so many funny moments and fun moments, like laugh out loud. Dory, how did you feel about the gameplay? Let's just keep it about the gameplay so far.
Sure.
So how do you feel?
I loved it. I was engaged pretty much every single second that we were playing. I was always like, "What's next? What's going to happen next?" Going from fantasy back to sci-fi, doing little side stories. The game knows how to keep things varied, mixed up. It keeps that variety. There's a lot of good, just gameplay segment. I mean, it's just like good gameplay after good gameplay. There's little parts here and there that were frustrating or challenging, but they were never so bad that I was like, oh well, fuck this game, or like this game is BS or whatever. Overall, I was always impressed with it. I was always enjoying it. Like Seb said, I had moments where I was going like, "Oh my god," or whatever, because of what was happening on the screen, or like I would jump towards something when I wasn't supposed to, or whatever. You have those little organic moments when you're playing with somebody that you just wouldn't have playing by yourself. So it's really good. I was originally going to play with Kim, but I'm glad that I didn't, because the game can be challenging at times, especially for casual gamers or people who don't game a lot with these kinds of games. I don't think it's so bad that like they could never play it or they could never beat it. Just that it might be a little more frustrating than to people who play it regularly, like Seb and I do.
Yeah.
So I think that worked out.
Yeah, it's not a walk in the park. This game.
Right. It's not a walk in the park. It's not a cozy game. Pretty much every single one. Every level has just constant action again and again and again, from one thing to another. Whenever you're coming into a level, almost always something is going on, something is happening. You have to keep moving for some reason, and I like that. I mean, it keeps you on your toes, figuratively and literally. It gets your blood racing. I mean, pumping. It's just a really good way to get the players engaged. I generally found the platforming to be solid. I didn't have a lot of hitbox issues. The only problems I think I had really was when Seb and I had to work together. He was like, some kind of nature spirit. I'm trying to be vague. Nature spirit, and you're like an animal, and like you're trying to get up this fucking tree, and it was like you really have to time things, and like you got to communicate and stuff. But generally speaking, I mean, I had a blast, and at one point, like I was driving and Seb was the gunner, and I was like, damn, I really wish I was the gunner. And then later on, like Seb was driving and I was the gunner. I was like, oh, this is awesome. So the game really knows how to balance it for both sides. I feel like with little moments. I agree.
That. Yeah, I think one criticism I have of this game is the platforming is not as tight, like I said. But some of the moments, I like the tree level, for example, that you're talking about, when you have to jump up and coordinate like that. That could have been left out a little bit. That could have been a little shorter. It could have been less cheap. I feel like there was times where like they could have left some things out. Like some like little levels were a little too extra. Like that one level when you're the otter and you're pushing like the vine and we're dodging those those plants that are trying to eat us, carnivorous plants, and that went on for a little too long. Like we did it like 6 times, I think, or something like that. I think it just dragged. Like it's not like horrendous or anything. It's just there's times where like I feel like the platforming in this game is a little too much. Like to some little like sometimes some levels are a little overly designed at times, I think. But again, overall the gameplay is awesome. Like it's an amazing game. Gameplay alone, it's a 9 out of 10. Gameplay alone.
Yeah, I agree. I was pretty much a 9 out of 10 almost immediately. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. By the time it's done, we'll see if this or Avowed is my goatee. This could be my new goatee. We'll just have to see. We're about halfway through. There are 10 chapters or 8 chapters, and we're on chapter 4.
Yeah,
I want to say.
Yeah, we're halfway.
So we're halfway. So I'm really excited to play more with Seb. I am going to keep bugging him until we start playing again. But yeah, I've had a great time. The graphics look great. I know we're talking about gameplay, but I really want to highlight this looks so good. And like part of my brain was like, well, that's just because like we're going, we're not slowing down, actually able to take it in. But no, even when you like sit on benches or you have like the odd slow moment, this game looks so optimized. It looks so good on my PC. It ran so good on my PC. I don't know if it's running off of Seb's settings because I have the friend pass or what, but no, I don't think it works that way. But I don't know.
No, because you weren't streaming, so no.
Yeah,
that was your
so it looks great on my PC. I just really want to like give it to the graphics department as well.
She has a 4060 laptop, to be clear, or a 4070. Right. I think it was a 4060, right?
I don't remember. It's in the 40s. It's a 40 series.
Yeah. I have a 4080. So yeah, it ran really well for me. So the graphics in this game are awesome. Like this is the best looking Hazel Light game so far. Of course, this is their venture into AAA. This game looks significantly better than Brothers, A Way Out, and It Takes Two. This game looks like a legit AAA game. Like the backgrounds, like for example, the Ice King's palace was amazing looking. It was a level of like Uncharted with the backgrounds. Like it was that good. The level where we're falling down with like basically the Halo Call of Duty reference, Space Troop, whatever you want, Starship Troopers.
Sure.
Looked amazing. It was like jaw dropping. It was AAA. This is their best looking game they ever made. The character models look amazing. The voice acting is really good as well. I feel like because you can argue the writing is a little. It's not going to click with everybody. It is definitely full of puns, one-liners, and jokes, and it's goofy.
You've heard of a Dory game through its narrative brilliance. How about a Dory game through its absolute not narrative brilliance, but it's wonderful.
It's 100%. This game is full of puns, and I think they're fun. I think they're really great.
I think they're fun as well. They're really good.
Very funny.
That was intentional. Very funny. I have a great time with it. I know the writing is divisive because I've seen some of the reviews. I was talking to Seb about it during the game, saying, "Oh, this, and that." Like you said, it's not going to click with everyone. Some people find it cringe. I think it's fun. I don't care that the characters aren't immaculately written or whatever. To me, I enjoy these characters. I'm not saying that it's BAFTA award winning or that the writing is going to get a Grammy or whatever equivalent. But it's good. It's good. It serves its purpose well, and the gameplay, like Seb says, is excellent. So I don't really care.
Yeah. So the writing in terms of the story is pretty standard. CEO, big corporation pulling something shady kind of story. Very Matrix. A lot of. Also, I'll say like the CEO so far. We're only halfway through the game. The CEO is like feels like a typical CEO villain in like every video game.
Very generic,
very tropey. Big tropey corporation. I saw Dory reminded me of Spider-Man, like Miles Morales. Like the villain is like a big CEO. He has this big AI system and all that. This is very much like the Matrix too. I was
And
getting
speaking of AI, this
eh,
game, as many
Evil
reviewers
Within.
have noted, yeah, is pretty much about, I mean, more or less about AI stealing people's ideas and taking credit for them and shit like that. I mean, I don't know. Joseph Ferris can say it's not, which I guess he has, or has said it's not just about that, or whatever. Whatever he exactly said, I don't remember, so I'm not quoting him. But like it is like this immediately resonates with that kind of modern issue that we have going on,
Yeah,
whether he intends to or not. Death of the author.
100%. This game is a huge commentary on AI. It's literally about taking people's ideas from their minds. Like they go into a virtual world that's created from their own vision, their own ideas. Obviously, our two characters jump into each other, so stories and ideas, and that's really where all the gameplay levels come from. Zoe and Mio, or My, was it Mio? Or was it Mayo? I think it was Mio, right?
It is Mio, yes.
So Zoe and Mio, they basically get lured over there for like a publishing deal because they're both writers. Zoe was a fantasy writer, and Mio is a science fiction writer. Uh, but unfortunately, Mio gets thrown into Zoe's pod, and they basically have to work together to survive each other's stories. Mio is more edgy. Her stories are more action packed and violent, and we're always getting shot. Like every 5 seconds, we're getting chased by guys with guns. Very Tron, cyberpunk kind of stuff. But not that Zoe's is like peaceful either. Like we literally get chased by giant trolls right off the bat, and there's a lot of spikes and piranhas and plants trying to eat us and things like that. Like so, it has a lot of unique levels. I also love the side levels. There was a level where we turned into pigs. There was a level with giants. There were levels. What was it? A gameplay. It was like a game show. We had to like
Yes,
coordinate
it
with a
was like
bomb.
a bomb. Yes, bomb game show. That was challenging.
That was challenging, and those were all awesome. Like you 100% need to play the side content in this game. The side
Yes.
content really adds to it. Don't just mainline this game. I think this game is a blast to play. Like I think we hit on everything. I think the gameplay is amazing. The levels
Yes.
are amazing. The characters they're not like I'm not saying they're phenomenal characters, but they're fine. Like they serve their purpose perfectly fine. Like I like Mio's like edgy, like introvert personality in contrast to Zoe's like extrovert personality. It fits me, personally. Although I personally love science fiction and fantasy. Fantasy is my favorite, but I do love science fiction as well. I mean, obviously, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Love Star Trek. But either way, Mass Effect, of course. Either way, I really liked the uniqueness of this game. Every level felt totally different. Like, there's so many references to video games in this game. I think you'll appreciate this game even more if you're a gamer, like a hardcore gamer that's played so many franchises. I mean, there's callbacks to like what there was Prince of Persia, like literally.
Yeah.
What else? There was Donkey Kong
They did.
Country,
Yep. Some of it seemed like Fable, the
Fable.
fantasy
I was
stuff.
I was
Yep,
I was
Fable
getting
was.
Fable vibes from the aesthetic of her fantasy land. It was very colorful and cartoony. What else? Do you remember? Assassin's Creed.
Uh,
I feel like
Assassin's Creed, yes. At one point, you jump into a big thing of hay.
Leap of Faith. Yeah.
Leap of Faith. I'm trying to think of the cyberpunk world with the ninjas.
I guess Ghost Runner, Tron.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of a Ghost Runner Tron vibe.
Cyberpunk. Yeah, there was a lot of stuff. Ratchet and Clank. I was getting a lot of Ratchet and Clank vibes. Like just the
Yes,
newer
I got
one.
those too. Yep, we did talk about that.
Yeah. So we'll see what more levels are coming up because we're obviously we haven't beat the game yet. But it was really fun to play. Like this is the best part of the game is that it's fun. And video games are supposed to be
Yes.
fun. Gameplay is king. I've always said this. Gameplay is king, and a game should be fun. I love a good story. I love a great story, and I love certain games that are focused more on story, like Life is Strange and Lost Records kind of thing. But the games that are the best are the games that are fun. And if the game could have great story and great gameplay, then that's usually one of my most favorite games of all time. And a lot of games can't do that, but it's fine because there's all that matters is gameplay. And I think this game is going to be one of the funnest games of the year, if not the most fun. Now,
Yes.
I don't know if it's going to be my game of the year. It depends. I love Monster Hunter. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 also is awesome. And then this game. So that's my top 3 so far. It's only March, and I don't know we'll see what else comes out this year after the first half.
Yeah.
We only know the first half really.
I don't even make my top 10 until at least June, halfway
Yeah.
through the year.
Yeah.
And then I'll go through it. But you know, this is definitely going to be 1 or 2. I mean, I once we finish this, we'll see. I think it can only get better. Really, it can only get better from here because we only did the first half, and the first half was amazing. So if they somehow outdo that, then yeah.
Yeah, but I would say that first half of the year was good, but not amazing.
Sorry, I meant the first half of the game. Sorry.
Yeah. But on that note, like this year so far has been I haven't had any game of the year contenders until like the last couple games I played. Monster Hunter, yes. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, yes. And then this game, yeah, these are game of the year contenders. I'll be shocked if this game does not get nominated for game of the year. Like this is
Joseph Ferris, I think, said in an interview today, I think it just happened today, that he was like, I would really appreciate another GOTY win, but with GTA 6 coming out, he's not so sure.
I actually like him. I like people that are.
I do too. I think he's great.
But I think this is gonna be one game of the year. There's always politics with these choices. I feel like they might not want to give it to him again. I don't know. Does it deserve it? Sure, it probably will deserve it, right?
Yeah.
We don't know what else is coming out, like I said, so we'll see. But I'm pretty confident that this game's getting nominated for Game of the Year. I'm pretty certain that Monster Hunter and this game will be 2 of the top 6 games nominated. I'm pretty certain. I feel like that's a safe bet. Honestly, Monster Hunter is such a big game. It's also it's like 90, I think. I'm pretty certain that this game is getting picked for Game of the Year as a nominee. Yeah, so we hit on. I think we hit on pretty much all this stuff.
I think we hit on everything.
So is there any final thoughts?
I think this is a tremendous game. I think if you enjoyed It Takes Two, absolutely go out of your way to play it. If you enjoy a good co-op experience, go play this. It doesn't have the best story, but I think the story's good. It's fine. It doesn't move me, but it gets me from thing to thing, which is the gameplay, which is excellent. I love the puns. I love just how much not lip service, but fan service it does to other video games. I just think it's a really great game. At least it pretty much a 9 out of 10 for me as well, or like a 4.5 out of 5. I'm really enjoying it. I recommend everybody go check it out. And you don't even need to buy it yourself. If a friend of yours has it, they can. You just need to download the Friends Pass. Make sure you do that beforehand. Don't be like me. I hadn't downloaded it beforehand. We ended up playing it both on PC. I was going to play it on PS5 because bigger screen and, a PlayStation controller and blah, blah, blah. But it was taking like 2 hours or something. So I was like, fuck that. But yeah, it's an excellent game. It's not perfect, but I really like it. And I think it could pretty much only get better from here since we're getting closer and closer to the sort of climax of the story and the action. But we'll see. I'm really enjoying it.
Awesome. Yeah, so my closing thoughts is this game is pure fun. You'll have a blast playing this game. The story is not the best story, but it's totally fine. It serves its purpose. The characters are both serve their purpose. I'm not saying they're the greatest characters ever made. It's not The Last of Us, but I really like the characters. Actually, I think they work well with each other. I like the contrast between introvert and extrovert. I think the gameplay is the king in this game. I do have some issues with the platforming here and there, some jankiness. Doesn't register completely at times. There's some gotcha moments. This game is challenging at times, but not like challenging where it's like Dark Souls. It's challenging just where like you have to be on your toes a lot, and you're gonna die at times. But the checkpoint system is so forgiving. Even if you die in the middle of a boss, it respawns you with the boss having like half its health gone. So it's not like you have to start over again. But we didn't have that problem because we beat every boss on the first try. But either way,
Still issue.
it's still there. Yeah. This is a 9 out of 10. I think this is 9 out of 10. I think it's a fair score. It's my game of the year as of right now, but I have only put like slight time into Kingdom Come Deliverance, but right now it's my game of the year, and that's obviously doesn't mean much because it's March, so
Right.
but it's gonna be in my top 10, guaranteed. I don't that's a guarantee. Um,
Yes.
yeah, so yeah, I totally recommend you play it, but you have to have a friend or a family or whoever to play with because that's the only downside. That's really the biggest downside of this game, right? Is if you don't have someone to play with, which not everybody has that luxury, unfortunately. You're not gonna be able to experience this game. So, all right, so that's our episode. Thanks for watching, everybody. Next week, I'm gonna go in full detail on Monster Hunter Wilds. I put 20 hours into it so far, so by next week I should have double that. I'm assuming, and that could be my game of the year. We'll see. There's just the games are starting to come out now. Let's put it that way. Like they are coming out fast and furious, basically. Next 3 months, we have a lot of new games to talk about, and I'm excited to talk about them. Excited to play them. Any closing thoughts, Dory, before we wrap it up?
Yeah, I don't know what I'll be talking about next week. It's been a kind of a slow time for me. Exciting news is that I passed my math exam that I needed to pass, so that's been just occupying my time.
Yeah.
The past couple weeks, so I just haven't been focused on gaming, except for Split Fiction and Yakuza and stuff like that, which we both beat, by the way, but don't have much to say about besides what we already said.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, I'm really excited. There are some games coming out like Frag Punk, so I might check that out and maybe we'll talk about that.
It already
I think
came
Frag
out.
Punk's coming out.
He already
Oh,
came
it
out
already came out.
2 days ago.
Jeez, 2 days ago. See, this is how like not nose to the ground I've been about gaming. But I have not seen anyone talking about it, so that's not good. I hope it's doing well because it looks awesome.
I actually forgot about it too.
Yeah, so I mean, it's been a busy time for both of us. But I wanna check it out. And then there's other games coming out. There's some previews that came out for Atomfall. That's later in the month. But some mostly positive reviews, and that's coming to Game Pass, so I'll be checking that out. But for next week, I don't know. Frag Punk is really the only thing that stands out to me. I might go back and play something on my backlog, and I'll talk about that. But
Yeah.
other than that, I don't know.
And I got spring break this month, at the end of the month, so I'll have a week off to play some games as well. All right.
Nice.
Thanks for watching, everybody. You all have a good night and peace. Take care.
Bye.